We are back to school again with Professor Alex, and today we're going to take a little bit of a turn, and we're going to start talking about factors. The reason why we're going to start talking about factors today is because factors are important to help you with multiplication. So what we're going to do with factors is we're going to recognize our multiples. Multiples, factors, kind of the same thing, but I want you to kind of pay attention, follow along with me. So let's go over a couple of problems here. So 16. We're going to start off with 16. 16. Now, this is going to lead into multiplication, so I'm going to do a little bit of multiplication and I'm also going to do factoring, but let's look at 16. 16. Factors of 16 are 1 times 16 is 16. 2 times 8 is 16. Let's see, 4 times 4 is 16. I do believe that's all the multiples that I can think of off the top of my head. Now, when you're multiplying, and I'm going to teach you how to multiply in the next chapter, but when you're multiplying any two factors, you're always going to get the number that you're looking for, the whole number that you're looking for. Now, when you are doing problems like find the multiples of, I want to say 50. 50 is a little bit harder of a number. But when you're finding a multiple of 50, this is pretty simple, but it can get pretty taxing. And the reason being is because if you're just now learning how to multiply, you might have a little bit of difficulty working on your factors. So you want to start from the ends. You know that 1 times n, you will learn, I'm going to show it to you in multiplication, but you will learn, if you don't already know it, that 1 times any number is that number. So you have 50. 1 times 50 equals 50. Now, 2 is usually half of a number. Or when you multiply a number by 2, you double that number. So half of 50 would be 2 times 25. Now, you also know that with 50, you have 5 times 10 would equal 50. And then, yeah, that would be all your factors right there. I'm thinking about 3-digit numbers where if you could factor in 3. So speaking of that, if you tried a number like 3, because this is an odd number, I'm going to show you a little bit of division. We're going to do that in 2 chapters. But if you knew how to divide, and you said 3 goes into 5 1 times 3 is 3, and then you got 20, and 3 goes into 20 18 times, and you're going to get 6 with a remainder of 2. This is how you would be able to determine if 3 was a factor. So you kind of need to know factoring when you're knowing multiplication and division. But what you need to know is that if the number does not evenly go into your solution, it's not a factor. So 3 can't go into 5, 4 can't go into 5, 6 can't go into 5. So this is how you know these numbers aren't factors, because 4 doesn't evenly go into 5, 6 doesn't evenly go into 5. So when a question comes up on an exam that asks you what are the factors of 50, you would say 1, 2, 10, 25, and 50, because the number in question is also a factor of that number, and this will be your answer. So we're going to go and do one more just so that I make sure that you know it, and I'm going to do one a little bit more complex. Not too complex, because factoring is pretty easy to understand if you know what you're doing. And you can also, you know how to count. You can also count. You don't have to multiply and divide. You can actually add numbers until you get to that number. But when you're dealing with higher numbers, it's better to know how to multiply and divide, which is why the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to multiply and divide to help you with your factoring. And your factoring will help you with your multiplication and division. So let's do a 3-digit number. Let's do 100, because we don't want to go too high. 100. Now, you already know you want to start at your ends. So the first factors that you know are going to be in your equation is 1 times 100. You also know that 2 times 50, well, you don't know it, but you will find out. 2 times 50 is 100. Now, this one gets tricky. You got 4, because half of a whole is 5, but a quarter of a whole is 25. This is just like dividing up money. If you were doing math with money on the table, you would probably catch on a lot faster if you're using a dollar and all of your math problems were inside of 100. So if you're in the 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, you ask your parents for 100 pennies and you start doing your math problems within those 100 pennies, you can group those pennies together, and then you would be able to solve a lot of these equations until you master multiplication and division. But if you have 100 pennies, half of that would be 50, and if you had 100 pennies, a quarter of that, or 25% of that, would be 25. So that means you should have 4 quarters for 100 pennies to be $1. So using money is a really good way to help you with math, and that's one of the reasons why we do math, so that we know how to count when we get older. That way we make sure our bank accounts stay straight. Now, you can also find, because this might be all the ones that you know off the top of your head, but you can also find another one, because 10 times 10 is also 100. Now, the interesting part about this is that if you was to try another number like 9 doesn't go into 100 evenly, 11 doesn't go into it evenly. You can keep trying numbers, and the even numbers are not going to go into 100 evenly beyond 10 times 10. And odd numbers are not going to go into 100 because 100 is an odd number. So you're now left with 1, 2, 4, 10, 25, and 50. And then we're going to go over here and do 100. These are all of the factors of 100. Now, that's going to be all for today. But I want you guys to remember that in the description section below, I have all of the information that you need to sign me up as a tutor if you want to have me as a tutor. If you have any questions, you can comment below. If you have any math problems that you would like for me to work out for you, please comment below. I would recommend that you like, share, and follow all of my course assignments. I'm going to go through all of the grades from 5th grade going all the way to college level math, because I just really love math. So if you don't know it now, but you want to know it, you want me to get to it sooner than the process that I'm going through it now, just throw some information in the comments. I'll do a section specifically for what you're asking for. We'll work it out together, and that way you'll have a better understanding of your assignment, because a lot of times all it takes is for somebody to explain it to you in a way where it makes sense, where it's easier for you to apply, and then you will be able to do it on your own. And me, I try to teach my students to make sure that they learn how to do it without a calculator first, so that when they have a calculator in those exams that allow them to have a calculator, they are capable of performing a test faster, because they already know what they're doing. They don't need the calculator, but the calculator helps them get through things that they forget. So that is all that I have for you today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking to you about multiplication. And the day after that, we're going to get into some division. And that's when we're going to have our review right after that revision. After division, I'm sorry. So, thank you guys for your time and enjoy your recess.